What does it feel like to be a newly appointed chancellor of a college? How hard is it to receive a doctorate of philosophy? And how many college presidents am I going to interview? Well, we talk about all that and more on this episode of the Toddcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toddcast. As always, I'm your host, Todd McManus. And today is a very special episode because my guest joining me today is the newly appointed Chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College at Monroe. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chancellor Dr. Scott Rule. Chancellor Dr. Rule, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing great, Todd. Glad to be here.
So, congrats on being the new Chancellor.
Thank you.
And welcome. This is not my school, of course. I go to ULM, so, of course, welcome to the Bayou,
Certainly.
of course. And I just want to go ahead and start out with saying that let's go back a little while to go learn a little bit about yourself. Let's go back to when you graduated high school.
That's going back far.
So, whenever you graduated high school, what was the plan that you wanted to do after you graduate? Like, you want to go to college, you want to get a job? Like, what was your original plan that you wanted to do?
That's a fine question. That's going back and making me think about things I hadn't thought about in a while. While I was in high school, I had worked construction jobs, worked at a grocery store, worked in manufacturing, worked at theaters, had all sorts of different jobs going on. But when I was in high school, during the summer, I was one of those students who had to make up credit hours.
Yeah.
I was not very good in high school. I didn't figure out how to actually learn until I made it into college. So while I was in high school, making up hours, I took an elective called computer science, and it was computer programming. We're talking about the early 80s.
Yeah.
The IBM PC was just developed in 1981. So it was a new technology, something I was learning, and I was fascinated by these computers and how to program those. So when it came time to graduate from high school, which I finally did actually graduate, I saw that I was very interested in computer programming. It was a fairly new, young field back then.
Yeah.
So I signed up and applied to Southern College of Technology, is what they were called at the time. They've since been called Southern Polytechnic State University, and now they're merged with Kennesaw State University.
Yeah.
So yes, after graduation of high school, I was interested in computer science and programming specifically on how to tell computers how to do things.
Yeah.
And that was the old cassette tape, the 5 1/4 inch floppy drives. I mean, the old technology. It was just fascinating.
Which, that's something because whenever I graduated high school, originally, I was a computer science major.
Okay.
And then I did the first year, but the first year of college is all like math, history, English, all your normal level classes, And then I started looking more into it, and I was like, I don't think this is meant for me. Because I ended up changing my major because I'm in marketing now.
Okay.
Which is its own spectrum of everything,
It's a different realm.
But computer science, I was like, I don't think I can be able to sit down and it's meant for some people. Like, it's an acquired taste, I'll say.
You ran into something that most people struggle with.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear about this in movies and TV shows all the time, where students are floundering around in college, changing majors left and right. It really is trying to figure out. That's one of the big things that every young person needs to figure out, is what are they really interested in and what are their capabilities?
Yeah.
Because you'll hear about the limited realm that you're familiar with when you're younger, and there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
And you really have to figure out what are the opportunities. And then I'm glad you found that transition.
Yeah.
Computer science versus marketing. One, you stare at a computer, you yell at a computer all day long,
Yeah.
or you work with people. You
Yeah.
get excited and you get energy working with people and marketing. So those are two entirely different realms. I'm glad you made that shift.
Because that's the thing, is like I'm still going to work on computers anyway, because that's
Absolutely.
the world today.
Yeah.
It's like I'm still like working with people, and especially during COVID, it's all on computers. Everything is.
Right.
And so you graduated from Southern Polytechnic State University, like you said, with a bachelor's of science for computer science, and your interest in that field was what led you to ultimately go all the way through with that. And that's how that went.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a pretty easy transition because computer science, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Again, learning how to program a computer. What was interesting is when I graduated from Southern Poly and I was applying to the jobs, I didn't know how to use a word processor.
Yeah.
Because I was programming computers, telling computers how to work, but I didn't know how to use a computer.
Yeah.
So it was very strange,
Yeah.
a very technical program that I was in, teaching a computer how to operate, and I didn't know how to operate a computer. So that was very very interesting to figure that out at the end of my graduate program there.
Yeah. And like you said, you then went to Kennesaw State University and received your Master's of Business Administration.
Yes.
Now, why did you decide to to get your own Master's in Business Administration?
Yeah, that one was actually a selfish reason. Once I graduated and I had my first career job, and I was at Kennesaw State University, by the way, as a computer programmer. And I started looking into my own personal finances. How am I going to survive? How am I going to invest my money just in savings and stock market and everything? And I wanted to learn. I wanted to figure out how can I actually invest my own money. So I actually entered a master's program just to learn more about finance.
Oh.
So I started my master's program, went to finance, learned what I wanted to learn in the first couple of courses, and I was done. I wasn't planning on finishing a master's program. And then because I figured out what stocks and bonds were and speculation and everything else. But then I realized, all right, maybe I want to go ahead and finish that master's. So I decided to go ahead and do this. I said, what can I possibly get as far as a skill from a master's program that I've already started, where my credits won't waste?
Yeah.
So I switched from finance to accounting. So I did that for a couple of classes in that same master's program, and realized I don't want to be an accountant.
Yeah.
I'm a computer programmer, far more fascinating. But what can I do to elevate my career? Where can I take my next step as a computer programmer? So then I switched that. So it's always been an MBA. It was a Master's of Business Administration with a focus on finance, where I started. Selfish reasons, personal benefit. Then I went to accounting, thinking it might be a career change for me. Didn't want to change. So I then shifted it over to business. So basically management.
Yeah.
So I had business administration and management. So that's my story. It was a long progression to finish that master's program. I had no intention to finish it when I started it.
Yeah.
But then I realized if I want to go into administration, I needed a master's. If I understood management, and performance management, and supervisory skills, that's what I was looking for. And marketing, those other components that you get in the master's program.
And so it's paid off then for getting the whole master's.
Yeah.
And then after that, a few years later, you went to Georgia State University.
Right.
And you received a doctorate or PhD in philosophy. Why did you go back to college a few years later and get this doctorate?
Yeah. Well, by then I'd already been a chief information officer for 10 years. I wanted to become a vice president, so it was another career choice for me. And again, my background was computer science. Even though I'd stayed in education, my first computer programming job was at a university. It was Kennesaw State University. Yeah. And I was programming in COBOL. However, when I was there, I started looking around, talking to all the administrators, the faculty, the staff, people who I was supporting, and realized, a university environment is a great place to be as a career, as a life career choice. So I said, I'm going to stay in education. Yeah. I need to learn more about education. Yeah. So that's what prompted me to go into that PhD program in higher ed policy was the focus that I had at Georgia State. So that was the reason why I got into it, so that I can learn more about what is higher ed all about. Yeah. Why are the decisions being made the way they're being made when it didn't make any sense to the lay person, and I was still a lay person as a programmer on the campus. So I wanted to figure out, why is the curriculum the way it is? Why are the requirements the way they are? What's General Core all about? What are these components? Why are there technical programs? Why are there liberal arts programs? So it just fascinated me. And then all the policies and procedures, why do we make the students jump through these hurdles? Yeah. And by the way, the quick answer to that, financial aid. But that explains 90% of all the hurdles that we have here.
Makes sense.
It's not because we didn't want to do anything. It's in order to get those funds from the federal government, which is a wonderful benefit to everybody, but it comes with strings attached. But I wanted to find all that out. I wanted to figure out what all the story was behind education, where it came from, and why I'm involved in this. Yeah. So that's why I pursued that PhD, and fortuitously it worked out for me, because right when I got my PhD was when I was experiencing my first merge. Yeah. I know Louisiana has its community and the technical colleges merged a few years back. I was going through the same thing in Georgia. at the time where we had 3 colleges coming together, North Metro Tech, Appalachian Tech, and Chattahoochee. And during that merge, I was at that point a vice president of academic affairs. And I was merging the 3 colleges. There were 15 vice presidents vying for 5 new VP roles, and that was it. So they were going to consolidate and shrink the administration there. And one of the criteria was to have a doctorate in order to be one of the leadership team. So I got it just in time. So it worked out well for me. I knew I had the skill, I knew I had the experience and the knowledge, but without the credential, you couldn't move forward. So again, for that purpose, it was nice to have. Yeah. But I did it for my own benefit, so I can learn more about education. Yeah. But it worked out as well.
And it's also cool to have doctor in front of your name,
of course,
too.
That's always nice. And
so you can easily say you've had many different jobs throughout the spectrum of collegiate education then.
Yes, yeah.
And in my opinion, it all culminated whenever it said that you were the president of West Georgia Technical College.
Right.
That you worked your way all the way up to that point. And you were there from 2017 to 2021. What led you to that position, and did you apply for that position?
That's a difficult question to answer, because what led me there was, just like here, Louisiana Delta, I had applied 9 years ago to this institution.
Oh.
At that point, I wasn't ready. I admit that. I know that.
Yeah.
I've got a lot more experience since then, so I'm much more prepared and much more thrilled to be here. And of course, a lot of development has happened here at Louisiana Delta. Same thing at West Georgia Tech. When I was a vice president at Appalachian Tech, that's when I started looking around for presidencies. And so I started applying. But I didn't just want to apply to anywhere. Some people just throw their name in whatever hat. Yeah. But I tried to find schools that looked interesting to me. I like to see the right program mix, the right number of campuses, the clientele they're trying to serve, the communities they're trying to improve. And so West Georgia Tech, Louisiana Delta were 2 of those. There was one down in Florida. There was one in Alabama as well. So I started applying to those different colleges. So I did that, did not get any of those until years later, when I had just naturally progressed from my current position. I was recruited by the system office. I had worked at the Technical College System of Georgia for 25 years, and the system office had already heard about me. Obviously, I'd known everybody being in the system that long.
Yeah.
There was a vacancy at the system level for somebody who was overseeing all of technology, all of the data systems, and so they recruited me to serve as the assistant commissioner over the system office to handle all the data systems for all the 22 technical colleges in Georgia. While I was the assistant commissioner, there was an issue happening at West Georgia Tech. They asked me to spend 1 week out at the college just to oversee things as they try to look into the problems. That 1 week turned into a second week, turned into a month, turned into 6 months, turned into permanent.
Yeah.
So it was fortuitous. It was a college that I already researched. I was already familiar with a lot of the leadership team there, so it was not like I was coming in blind.
Yeah.
But I was asked to rectify a problem. I took care of that problem very quickly within the first 6 months. Was excited to be back in the college. So I asked our commissioner at the time, I said, I'm very interested in making this a permanent shift back to the college so I can work with our students, with our faculty. Something I'd missed at the system level, being downtown Atlanta, not being at a college. I love being at a college.
Yeah.
So I asked if that could be permanent, and so they made me go through the interview process so the community could buy in and say, yes, we accept Scott as being our new president. So yes, I did apply for it. I applied for it twice. Got it on the second time, but only after being asked to go rectify a problem.
Yeah. And so you can say that being there helped you with this position too.
Absolutely.
Because it's like all your positions, in my opinion, is like you started out kind of from the bottom, from being a student, basically, which is not the bottom, but it basically is when you're working your way up to in higher education.
Students should always be seen as the top.
Yeah.
They're why we're here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bottom, I was a programmer. I was a lowly programmer in the back room staring at a computer all day. There's the bottom.
Yeah.
Right there. Yes.
And you went from that all the way to becoming a president of an entire college.
Right.
So.
Yes. Now, for all those computer programmers in the back rooms, I apologize for making that statement. That was the bottom of my career ladder.
You've been there, so you know. And so now you're the chancellor, the newly appointed chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College here in Monroe, Louisiana. And How have you liked this position so far?
It has been great. It's exactly what I was hoping for. When I came in, unlike West Georgia Tech, where I've already, basically Georgia was my family. I've known a lot of folks here. I had to learn a lot of new names and faces here.
Yeah.
But it's been wonderful. We have a great team at the college. The former Chancellor, Dennis Epps, has done a wonderful job just organizing things, getting things prepped. I mean, basically setting things up for me to come in and have a great experience. Mr. Broadwater, as interim for a full year during COVID, kept things going on a rock-solid foundation. So I want to just thank my direct predecessors in this role of making sure this college is in great shape. But I know both of them would point to the rest of the leadership team that it couldn't have happened without them.
Yeah.
So we've got great faculty, we've got great staff, we've got great leadership at the college, and they welcomed me, and I truly appreciate that. I come from a different state. It's tough to come in brand new. People don't know everybody, but they've been so welcoming. I would like to think that I've been doing the same reciprocally, and in the community. During COVID, we're all wearing masks, and all the meetings have been on Zoom. But it's been great to meet everybody out around the community. It's not just about the college, it's how do we interact among our 12 parishes. It's a large service area here. So just meeting with Friday and other mayors throughout the area, meeting with our school superintendents, I mean, you name it. It's been very, very welcoming and very positive so far.
And I know, which I'm just going to go ahead and ask this. I know that Mr. Broadwater, when he was here, and the president, Dr. Berry of ULM, made the bridging the bayou thing, when they made it. And have you stepped in? Have you met Dr. Berry? Have you, what was all that been like so far?
Absolutely. More of that welcoming nature. Matter of fact, Dr. Berry and I ran into each other my first month in January. I came here January 1. I think I ran into Dr. Berry more often than anybody else, aside from my maybe internal staff. Even that might be questionable. We were at every single meeting together. He's been nothing but smiles and handshakes the whole time. Wonderful man. Love that he is so willing to work with the community college. I'll tell you, I have a history of kind of spotty with the technical colleges, the two-year colleges not being as respected as the universities. In the area by parents, by the universities themselves. I don't feel that here. West Georgia Tech, I had a very, very strong relationship with the university in that community as well, so don't get me wrong, it was just pockets in Georgia. But I'm so pleased that I don't have that to battle here. We've got the Bridging the Bayou mentality. It's not just a program, it's not just an agreement, it's a mentality. So I fully appreciate that strength that we have here because we've got to work well together, very strongly together. We've got so many programs, some overlap, but there's so much need, like our healthcare programs. Both of us provide healthcare programs. But there's such a huge need, we can both provide healthcare programs. We're both needed. The community needs us. Our health partners need us. So I'm so thankful that Dr. Berry has that same mentality, and his staff does too, as well as our staff here.
And what has been the best part so far of being the new chancellor of Louisiana Delta and Monroe?
Goodness. That's
and
tough.
Only 2 months, 2.5 months you've been here.
Exactly. It's tough to say what the best part is because I'm uncovering new things every single day, and everything's been exciting. There's been no bad part to it. So the best part right now, I'd say the people. You can have whatever resources, you can have facilities, which, by the way, are nice because of Act 360. I don't know if you're familiar with that or your listeners are familiar with the Act 360, but it was a program put in place quite a few years ago that improved our facilities. It built part of this campus right here in Monroe. It provided renovations in Winsboro. It provided a new location in Jonesboro. We've got Ruston campus being rebuilt right now because of Act 360. So there are lots of positives going on right here. So facilities, but I want to go back to over and over again, it's the people. That's been the most positive because we're all doing the right thing. Even with COVID, that's what's actually highlighted that more. That we've got the commitment, we've got the passion of dealing with very, very tricky and difficult situation, of health-threatening situation. But we've got faculty and staff still willing to do what needs to be done. Whether it's online, virtual, or face-to-face, we're getting the job done. So as I said, I have a hard time seeing anything that's negative.
And whenever you were announced, however that was, what did it feel like whenever they said, you're going to come here and we want you to be our new chancellor of Louisiana, Delta, and Monroe? How did that feel?
It felt good because this is the first leadership role at this level that I applied for on my own.
Yeah.
Had to convince people that I was the right person to be here. So it sounds selfish.
Yeah.
But that felt really good. But then it also felt a little frightening.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new state for me. And I'm trying to figure out, all right, I've got the experience, I've got the years in, I've done the job before, but not in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Not in Northeast Louisiana, which is different than Louisiana as a state. It's different than the South.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I would be successful. So again, even though I felt proud of myself, it's not about me. It's what am I going to be able to provide when I arrive there? What value am I going to be adding to Louisiana Delta?
Yeah.
So then not just the fear of what do I need to figure out, but it's the responsibility, the burden that I just felt put on my own shoulders that I love to have.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure I don't let people down. Whether it's our students coming to us because they need to get something from us, some type of credential, some type of skill, they have faith in us. Our faculty and staff rely on me to make sure I get the resources for them to get that job done. So it was that feeling of, all right, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
It's a huge responsibility, but it's exciting too, because I can see so much benefit. So many people need us for all the different programs we offer.
And that's very nice. You said that. And so I just want to go ahead into COVID a little bit, since it's
absolutely
the current
it's
big
good.
thing that's happened over a year now. So how have you and your family been during COVID for the past year?
Oh, okay. Normally I've got to describe how we're handling it here at the college, but me and my family, I appreciate that question. I'll say my direct family. I've got a wife of 32 years. We're about to celebrate our 32nd anniversary next month.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So she's been wonderfully supportive the entire time. She's a school teacher in Georgia.
Yeah.
So she's still there until May. She didn't want to abandon her kids in her class until she finished out the school year.
Oh, that's good.
So she'll be joining me in another month or so, 2 months. So I'll be thrilled to have her back. But we've been COVID-free the entire time.
Oh, that's good.
So she and I have been doing very, very well. I have a son and a daughter. They are 27 and 25 right now, and they are in Atlanta. They've already graduated high school and college. They've got their own careers. Also COVID-free.
Yeah.
So they've been doing well. And I've got an extended family as well, but everybody's doing fine. I appreciate you asking.
That's good. And which I'll say this, when your wife comes here after May, whenever she moves over here, will she start teaching here as well, or will she?
She is undecided. She stayed at home for 20 years to raise our kids.
Yeah.
So she has recently gotten back into teaching. She was a parapro for a couple of years. As a matter of fact, while she was raising the kids, when they first entered kindergarten, she volunteered at the elementary school. We're talking 25 years ago, or 24 years ago, whatever that was with my kids. She never left.
Yeah.
Even when the kids moved on to middle school and high school, she kept volunteering at the elementary school. She just loved working in that environment. So once the kids graduated high school, she was still volunteering at the elementary school. They were going through college. She was still volunteering at the elementary school. I said, you spend a lot of time at the school. They should pay you a little bit. So she became a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
She then transitioned that into becoming a parapro. Then she went back and got her master's in teaching, and she has been a teacher now. So she's a fully certified teacher in Georgia. She is able to retire. She is really debating right now whether she wants to continue or retire.
Yeah.
She, just like me, I am retired formally from Georgia.
Yeah.
But that's a formality. I'm too young, too energetic to retire. I couldn't sit at home and do nothing. I don't see her doing that either.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to continue one way or another. But she might turn back into her volunteer role. She really, really enjoyed that. She enjoys both teaching and volunteering. So I'm leaving that up to her. She's been so supportive of me. I'm going to support her in whatever she wants to do.
Yeah. And so, on the same note of COVID, how have you been career-wise, I would say, since it hit? Well, it's been around since like November 2019, but the lockdowns really didn't happen until like March last year. how have you been since basically when that happened, when you were at Georgia Tech? And
West Georgia Tech. I don't want to claim Georgia
West
Tech.
Georgia Tech. West
my,
Georgia
my daughter
Tech.
went to Georgia Tech. I did not.
So how were you career there at West Georgia Tech and here with COVID?
I don't understand what you mean as far as the career. I mean, it was a trying situation because we had to lead our way through COVID. So if you're asking that, I can share with you one of the stories that we had. Unfortunately, I was the first one, West Georgia Tech was the first to experience in higher education in Georgia a COVID case.
Oh.
So we had an adjunct instructor who came down with COVID, and we had to figure out how to respond. And we're talking February of 2020, so before the shutdown, before everything else.
When it was still new, basically.
It was brand new.
Yeah.
No one knew how to respond. So immediately, as president of West Georgia Tech, I had to figure out how to respond to this new situation. But as a leader, you can't make those decisions on your own.
Yeah.
You've got to know when to pull in other experts. So that's when I'm calling the Department of Public Health. That's when I'm calling our hospitals. That's when I'm calling my chief of police, who works with first responders all the time. That's when I called in my dean of nursing within the school. We're fortunate that some companies out there don't have a dean of nursing that they can call on. So we got the group together figuring out, all right, what do we need to do? And within the first hour, we were responding. I mean, literally, first hour of hearing the news. And we were quarantining, we were shutting down the facility, the entire campus, and going into that particular room very quickly with hazmat suits. I mean, we almost overreacted. We had our hazmat suits trying to disinfect and sterilize that space because we didn't know what we were facing. And we knew we didn't want to have a spread happen on our campus. So those type of things is a quick learning environment. Very, very much was. So at that point, once you are past that, that's when you start debriefing and speaking with, luckily I'd worked at the system office as well, so I was very close to our commissioner, the assistant commissioners, and all the other college presidents. We all got together to debrief.
Yeah.
What did I just experience? What did I have to do? How did I handle it? And so that everybody can improve upon that moving forward.
And because I remember when last March, because actually the former president of ULM, Dr. Nick Bruno, when he was here, I interviewed him the day before he announced campus was closing.
Okay, right.
Because I talked to him and I was like, do you think we're going to close campus and be online for this half of the semester that's going to end?
Right.
And he said, well, I don't know. And he had the meeting right after I left with talking about closing it. And then he emailed everybody the next day and was like, all right, we're closed. And then I remember going back like a month later in April, and it was weird. Because there was less people there than there is during the summer, which is like ghost town, you know.
You are correct.
It was, which I'm pretty sure y'all were the same.
It's disconcerting, yeah.
And it was like, it looked like an abandoned college, basically. Right. Like nobody was there. No teachers could be there. It was like only people that were there were like the president and the higher ups, and then that was it.
Yes,
it was the people who basically needed to be there, basically. But I'm pretty sure y'all and everybody felt that way.
Absolutely. I was just telling you one of the reasons why I was excited about being at West Georgia Tech and being president there was I like being at the college and seeing all the students and faculty and some of the activity, and that was not there over the last year. I mean, we've all been missing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're starting to see it come back right now. We're going to be coming back slowly, cautiously, very, very controlled. We want to make sure we don't come back any earlier than humanly and safely possible.
Yeah.
With everybody's health concerns foremost in our minds.
And to end this off, I'll just ask, do you think in the fall, which, you know, the vaccine's becoming more and more available.
Absolutely.
I've actually got my first shot.
Good,
I'm getting my second in like 2 or 3 weeks. Do you think by August, Louisiana Delta here will be able to resume normal, like the way it used to be?
Right. The answer to that, I was about to say, it depends on what the conditions are for COVID, but since you worded it that way, the answer is no.
Okay.
It will never be what it used to be.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a no.
Yeah.
As far as moving back to some type of more aggressive face-to-face, I'm hoping we can get there, but right now it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
The vaccine is just rolling out. People are just getting it. I see some hesitation with some populations not wanting the vaccine because there's some unknowns.
Yeah.
And the health community is trying to reassure people about those unknowns, if there truly are, or if they are known, people just don't know.
Yeah.
that the answers are there. So I'm optimistic, but no, I want to make sure that people realize that we are going to be moving back cautiously, and it is still March of this year. Vaccines are still rolling out. So I'm not making the call for fall. We've already introduced our schedule for summer and fall for people to register, so students can register now for summer and fall. And it's highly focused on virtual and hybrid still, and hybrid being part in face-to-face and part online. We do offer, even now, we've got a couple of classes that are face-to-face 100%.
Yeah.
So we'll continue that as long as we still have our protocols in place with social distancing. Some of those might be relaxed by fall, but I'm not going to go too quickly. I don't want to be the spreader of COVID, especially toward the end when things are going, being very, very optimistic right now.
Yeah.
I don't want that to turn around because of anything I do.
Yeah. And so to end this off, is there anything that you would like to say, add to this, to end this off, like anything you want to say?
I appreciate the time that you're spending with me and giving me this opportunity to share some background with you. And so pleased to be here at Louisiana Delta Community College. It sounds like a generic message, but really it is about the people. I've said that 2 or 3 times already. So if there's anybody listening who wants to reach out, if you think we need to enhance our partnerships, to suggest new programs. I was just speaking with one of our community partners, suggesting other areas that we can get into, and I've got a growing list of new programs. We can't do everything.
Yeah.
I'm not committed to that. But I want to know what is needed in our area.
Yeah.
So that's always a question that I'm asking. What programs are missing where there are viable careers available for our population in our area? That's the key.
Yeah.
In our area, there are all sorts of careers available out there generically, but if we can't place them here, then I need to focus on those that I can.
Yeah. So thank you for being here, for joining me
Thank
today.
you.
And hopefully you might have to join me again in like another year and
Certainly.
yearly report, basically.
Sounds
See
good.
how you're doing. So thank you once again for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
As always, please rate and subscribe. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And click that bell to get notified when new videos are uploaded. And make sure you follow the Toddcast only on Instagram at @_Toddcast_ for all your Toddcast social media needs. Make sure you tell your friends and your family, or anybody really, to give it a listen. And thank all of you for listening to this episode. And if you want to know what's going to happen next week, well, I guess you're just going to have to tune in to find out. Only on the Toddcast.